organizations in the country have gone paperless. Talk of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, the Ghana Water Company, and the latest addition is the Driver Vehicle and Licensing Authority, DVLA, all in a bid to reduce delays and hassle associated with service delivery. And this is, in one way or the other, helps people who stay in long queues to pay bills or get a driver's license or the clearance of goods. So tell me, what organization do you think, in your estimation, should be next to go paperless?
I think it will be NHIS. You know, for some time now, there have been challenges in NHIS. The next time you go to NHIS, even going to queue and then before you get your distance, the toilet to come some months or some distance before you come out, I think it's very stressful. It's not easy at all.
In education system, I want it to be paperless because I heard the government even say that he will help SHS students with iPads so that they can learn easily. Because for them carrying books inside their bags to class, at times delay them to get class on time.
Personally, I would love GES to be made paperless because it's very stressful and heartbreaking when you see students coming on campus and having to form long queues just to get admission forms and all that. I know the system is now progressing. In Accra Technical University, for instance, a lot of the students now can update themselves on the net and all that. But yes, so there are still certain things that when you want to get access to, you would have to come and form long queues, and sometimes it's very heartbreaking because some of us would have to forego our jobs. Those who are doing the part-time, they would have to forego their jobs and come and be on campus for so many hours without any tangible. Sometimes you would even come and they'll tell you that, oh, we've closed for the day, the process has ended for the day, so we'd have to go and come the following day. So for me, GS would be my preferred choice.
There's nothing on the thing. So what do you make of that? I mean, there's so many organizations, in my opinion, which can also go paperless. And the main issue is that it cuts out the long queues that you could have spent the time doing something useful. So which other organizations do you think can go paperless? Let's see. On Facebook, Buyer Jeremiah writes, DVLA should go paperless immediately. Too much illegality in that institution, which leads to too much indiscipline on our roads. Anybody who acquires a car is a driver. What kind of... okay, we won't go there. But Barima Kubaji Jinjini says, I'm actually on a 4-day fasting period, so God will make it our care to our everything paperless government to make Ghana Police Service paperless. On that day, I would organize a Thanksgiving procession. Interesting one there, Barima. Kwesi Boatianyepa says, DVLA, hey, that small department that their papers are more than their output. Just moving papers from one. That Larry Kroko says, all right. Ankuma Nchibwe Siaku says, DVLA for sure to prevent the Goro boys from duping innocent clients. And Leonard Ahemfo says, Lands Commission, give or imagine your own reason. I can imagine why we really need Lands Commission to go paperless. That is a very, well, people describe it as a corrupt organization. So the paperless may help that problem. Now, moving on, investigations by the Medical and Dental Council have led to the arrest of 20 quack doctors across the country since January 2016. The registrar has stated that it would bring up strict measures to sanitize the health sector. In so doing, they would want to assign a practitioner stamp, which has security features to show proof of their certification. My question is, have you ever been skeptical of a diagnosis by a doctor?
Yeah, actually it's about stomach ulcer issue. Stomach ulcer issue. And then when we got there, the doctor said it might be appendicitis. So I have to go through surgery and other stuff. But then later on I have to leave the hospital and go to another hospital again. And that is why I was told that it is not appendicitis, but rather just a mere stomach ulcer. So based on that, when he told me I came and was thinking about that, how can I get appendicitis? Because the symptoms that you have to know that means you are getting appendicitis. It is not showing on me.
Yes. Okay, I had an eye problem. Yes, so I thought it was Apollo. But it took about 2 weeks and it was getting severe, so I had to go to the hospital, and after checking I had to lab test, and then the doctor said that I had eye viral or something, which I don't know about. So he prescribed a drug to me, and it was serious. Even when I went to the pharmacy to buy the drugs, they were all surprised because I really got scared. So seriously, I didn't take it. It was just God's intervention that got me safe.
I was having headache and I went to the hospital, but when I went, what the doctor told me was different from what I was feeling. But I thought he is the doctor, so he knows best.
Well, for me, no, because I learned, I think, way back 2016 or so, I had a sickness called pituitary cirrhosis, and the doctor who treated me did well.
Interesting responses there. Let's see what you're saying on Facebook. Samuel Ford says, the only doubt I have is on their prescriptions. I had an accident, and when I went to the hospital, they gave me paracetamol. That's quite serious. Bayer Jeremiah says, yes. Okay. Well, Bayer Jeremiah says, yes, it was in August 2006. In fact, it was the darkest day in my life. The diagnosis they gave me nearly sent me to my early grave until the teaching hospital medical doctor proved them wrong. Wrong diagnosis gave me wrong drugs, which compounded my problem. The teaching hospital gave me one drug, and that was the beginning of the end to my problem. Well, we're glad you're alive, by Jeremiah. Osborne Decimal, okay, so Osborne is asking him, so what was the wrong diagnosis? And Bayer says, I was diagnosed with some disease which tends not to be true. Anyway, Berima Kubaji from Jinjini says, not really. Anytime I get indisposed and go to the hospital, I always do know what the problem is, knowing the symptoms. So the main reason I go is not for diagnosis, but prescriptions. So I've never had an experience of a wrong diagnosis. Lucky you, Berima. Now, Kwesi Boatianyipa says, even if you are skeptical, you can read the handwriting of doctors. And even if you can read, do you have any idea about pharmacology? Even if you can, even if you have, can you stand the frustration that these health workers will give you? It's only God we look up to. And Lumoa Yakubu says, I think all our problems can be solved when we start practicing evidence-based medicine. Let's give the lab scientists some hearing in this matter, and most of our problems will be solved. And Prince Nuruddin Bamia says, yes, because there are quack medical doctors in our hospitals and clinics nowadays. We must be skeptical because life is precious. Nasser Hassan Yaima says, no, because there's no need doubting the doctor's competence, because I've never been one myself. I take it in good faith. Apana Charles says, nah, how can you doubt when the doctor diagnoses and a verdict about your situation, unless otherwise? And Tinder DeGraff says, before you start talking, they start writing. The more you talk, the more they write. Some are in a haste. Well, we are not rushing to, demonize or vilify all doctors. We're just saying there are some bad nuts in the system. Now, today, the world celebrates the United Nations, a worldwide organization that was put together after the World War II in the to promote human rights, social progress, and world peace. But do people really know what this day stands for? The question I ask is, what is the United Nations, and what's the purpose of this body?
Of nations, let's say sovereign or independent nations, and then they have their permanent members that run to rescue of other nations in times of war, in times of famine, and then in times of, let's say, human rights abuses.
UN is United Nations, and then they are there to unite nations, and then UN has a charter that serves as a link between all the countries they are under. So, for instance, if there's any election dispute or any war going on in the country, UN is there to help solve that problem.
it's an abbreviation for United Nations. I'm not too certain, but I think so. I think it means United Nations, right? Basically, I think their purpose is to, I mean, like as the name suggests, unite, the nations, unites the whole world.
So straight to Facebook and let's see what you've been saying. Larry Antonio says that UN has not really achieved its purpose for which it was formed. It is rather divisive. It has succeeded in making Africa what it is, and we think we are making ourselves any good by joining. Africa is the cradle of civilization in the world, and we don't need any organization to tell us how to keep our own houses clean. Bayer Jeremiah says the main purpose of the UN is to maintain worldwide peace and security, to ensure cooperation between nations in solving economic, social, political, cultural, and humanitarian international challenges. And Barry Makubaji from Jinjini says, no nations are united because if we were, the Bretton Woods institutions wouldn't strain African countries like this. We want to issue our bonds safe. They say if we come for approval. Hashtag Beijing Ghana. And Sule Mohammed says, the sole aim was to create harmonious and peaceful coexistence among nations, especially after the Second World War. But it seems America has hijacked this motive. And Ankoma Inchibuesiaku says, to prevent another world war by sustaining international peace and security, but they failed woefully with their response to the Rwanda genocide.